Welcome back. Hey, picture this. Duke Ellington, Count Basie, performing at the house belonging to the first black woman to ever win an Oscar, Hattie McDaniel. Her home in a predominantly black neighborhood right in West Adams. They called it Sugar Hill. But for this neighborhood to be what it was, the people there had to fight, and their fight actually helped change our nation. Just a few miles west from the heart of Los Angeles lies a story of what once was the West Adams community of Sugar Hill.
They were naming it after Harlem Sugar Hill, 1920, because it was a sweet place to live.
Sugar Hill holds a special place in Ivan Houston's heart. It plays a big part in his family story. He says his grandfather, Norman Oliver Masson Houston, was the first black person ever to buy a home in the neighborhood around 80 years ago. Soon after, a number of prominent black business owners, doctors, lawyers, and famous actresses followed.
Hattie McDaniel moved in, Louise Beavers moved in, Dr. Frank Summerfield, who owned the Dunbar Hotel on Central, moved in. My wife's grandparents, Dr. Pyram Taylor and his wife, Pearl, moved in and lived across the street from my grandfather. Ethel Waters moved in.
Their white neighbors weren't happy about this, and they felt like they had a right to be upset. Racist restrictions were embedded into property deeds here and all over the United States. These were clauses written into homeowners' deeds proclaiming if they sold the property, they wouldn't sell to black people, keeping them all from the integration they didn't want.
My home right now in Silver Lake, built in 1926, it has that clause in its deed. But by then, you know, when we bought it, it's unlawful now.
The white homeowners sued the black homeowners, claiming it was illegal for them to be there. In response, the black homeowners banded together, creating the West Adams Neighborhood Protective Association.
To talk about it, to hire a lawyer to do this. And they did. You see what the dues were? Yeah. $1.50, 50 cents. But it was enough.
Houston and his wife found a written record of all the members from 1943 through 1947. This small group helped overcome the injustice, but they had some big help from NAACP lawyer Lauren Miller.
He was just that type of lawyer that would take this cause on because even he knew it was wrong.
Miller argued the racist covenants violated the 14th Amendment, which guaranteed his clients equal protection under the law. The judge agreed. Soon after that, black Americans were all over West Adams, even moving in an exclusive gated community in the middle of Sugar Hill, Berkeley Square.
From Western to about Gramercy was an area called Berkeley Square, and it had homes as big as Fremont Place, Hancock Park. Probably in the 50s, and that's when African Americans could move into the neighborhood.
Where's Berkeley Square now? Well, right here, or at least it was. Now, of course, you're looking at the middle of the Santa Monica Freeway.
This 10 freeway, which is of course a major artery for Los Angeles now, would bisect and divide and essentially destroy what was at the time the most prosperous African-American community in Los Angeles, one of the most prosperous on the West Coast.
Dr. Josh Sides is a professor of history at Cal State Northridge and the author of LA City Limits, a look at African-American Los Angeles from the Great Depression to the present. He says in the 1950s, residents pushed back against plans for the freeway, pleading with state government officials trying a second time to save their neighborhood. This time, they lost. Their fears realized.
There's absolutely no question that it destroyed the neighborhood. I mean, it fundamentally changed what this neighborhood was about. It had a negative effect on property values, particularly on that side. And it, I think, killed what was once a really vibrant cultural thing.
The neighborhood, now split in two, Berkeley Square homes were seized through eminent domain. Those families had to leave. For those who got to stay in their houses, the freeway brought longer walks to schools, noise, crime, and most importantly, health issues that perpetuate for generations.
For people who are living on the edge of the freeway or by the port, you know, they're exposed to all these toxins at a much greater rate, and so you see higher rates of asthma and cancer and things like that. It's a common problem.
Sit down, head low, relax, the river flows.
Families changed. History lost. Decades later, a story still not widely taught.
None of it was in class. Not one bit. In fact, I'm really thankful that this type of story is getting out there because it's so important.
So lucky that Ivan spoke to me. The Sugar Hill case actually helped lay the groundwork for the Supreme Court decision back in 1948, Shelley v. Kramer. At that point, that decision, the High Court struck down racially restrictive housing covenants on the grounds that they are unconstitutional, leading to, me being able to live in the neighborhood I live in today. Lauren Miller argued that case also before the High Court with a man, Samada, that you are likely familiar with, Thurgood Marshall.